What's up, my friend? Grab a seat because today, Steel City is on fire. Jack Romano here, and I'm telling you right now, this isn't a day for the faint of heart. 4 major bombs just dropped behind the scenes with the Steelers, and each one could change the entire course of the season. We're talking about an unexpected cut, a massive trade rumor on the horizon, a star player demanding a move, and even a weird shakeup on the depth chart. All of this is messing with the minds of the entire black and gold nation. And I have to ask you, are the Steelers getting ready for something huge, or are they just testing our patience? But before we get into the hot details of all this news, let me ask for that one favor you always hear about. Subscribe to the channel, hit that bell, and smash the like button. It helps keep the black and gold brotherhood united and strong and make sure you don't miss a single thing happening behind the scenes with the Steelers. Okay, so let's start with a move that caught a lot of people by surprise. The release of cornerback Cameron McCutchen. The guy had just arrived from the Rams and seemed like an interesting gamble for the roster, but in the preseason win against the Jacksonville Jaguars, he pulled his hamstring, that dreaded injury that immediately makes every fan uneasy. He only played 14 snaps, but here's the thing. He earned an insane 93.4 grade from Pro Football Focus. That's not nothing, especially for someone fighting for a spot. But in the NFL, my friend, talent sometimes takes a back seat to timing and health. The result, the Steelers went ahead and placed him on waivers with an injury designation. He cleared waivers and went straight to the IR. Translation, his 2025 season is over unless he reaches an injury settlement. The detail that stands out the most is that McCutchen was listed as a third-string CB on the depth chart, meaning he had little chance of seeing the field as a starter, but he was a guy who could have added valuable depth. His resume is solid. He started at Gardner-Webb, then went to Western Carolina, put up good stats, and even though he wasn't drafted, he found a spot with the Rams. But his career has been a total roller coaster ride. Practice squad, futures contract, preseason, cut, back again. And now this. For Steelers fans, this is raising a yellow flag about our depth at the corner position. Yes, we brought in Mikey Victor this week, but the truth is, if something happens to the starters, the rotation will depend on guys who are still trying to prove their worth. And another thing, a hamstring injury is no joke. Everyone knows it's a nagging injury that's easy to re-injure and that it takes away your explosiveness. For a cornerback who depends on quick bursts and changing direction, this is practically a sentence to months of inactivity. The fans on the forums are already debating whether this move opens up a spot for another veteran to arrive before the final 53-man roster cuts. And I'll tell you what else. I wouldn't be surprised if Omar Khan already has a list in his drawer. But hold on, because the next piece of news is even more explosive. There's a big name who might be on the Steelers' radar, and he would make any opposing defense lose sleep. You'll understand why this rumor has the black and gold nation in a frenzy. Now get ready, because this is one of those news stories that makes the family group chat blow up. A crazy trade idea is gaining traction that would bring none other than Tyreek Hill to the Steelers. Yes, the same Tyreek who has terrorized defenses all over the NFL and has been an all-pro. The proposal, which came from an exercise over at A to Z Sports, is to send a 2026 second-round pick, a 2027 third-round pick, and Calvin Austin III to the Miami Dolphins. In return, we would get Hill and a 2026 fifth-round pick, and that's where the discussion starts. Is it worth it? Financially, it's doable. The Steelers have more than $19 million in cap space, and with the option bonus paid by Miami, Hill would have a base salary of $10 million this year. Of course, they'd have to restructure the contract, push money into the future, all that classic front office acrobatics. But the real question is Tyreek Hill still the same player? Last year, he played all 17 games but had only 959 yards, an average of 56.4 per game. And at 31 years old, his speed is still absurd. But does he still have the same game-breaker impact? Plus, there's another point. This move would mean giving up valuable draft capital. And we know the plan is to find the quarterback of the future in 2026. So here's the dilemma. Do you load up now and try to make a run for a title with Rodgers? Or do you save your chips for the future? The black and gold nation is divided. Some fans are saying it's the perfect chance to have an explosive offense with Metcalf and Hill together. Imagine an opposing defense trying to cover 2 speed demons while Rodgers distributes the ball. But there are more cautious people who remember that Hill isn't the same player he was 2 years ago, and that investing heavily in him now could be costly down the line. On the forums and in the group chats, the debate is on fire, and of course, you're only hearing this complete analysis here, straight from someone who lives and breathes this team every day. My guess, Omar Khan will monitor the situation, but he won't pull the trigger before seeing how the team starts the season. And hold on tight, because if you thought that rumor was big, the next one involves another star wide receiver and a move that has already had an official call from the Steelers. And if that moves forward, my friend, the impact could be massive. This one is another story that has the fans all worked up. Terry McLaurin, the star wide receiver for the Washington Commanders, is on the Steelers' radar. It all started after the wide receiver requested a trade out of Washington because of stalled contract negotiations. The bombshell came from reporter Chris Halicki of DK Pittsburgh Sports, who said the Steelers have already made a call to the Commanders asking about the situation. That's right, there was official contact. Now, hold on. The actual chance of this happening is small because Washington doesn't seem willing to negotiate. McLaurin is under contract, and at the end of the day, if he wants to play, he'll have to show up. But there's no denying that just the call from Omar Khan shows that the team is looking to reinforce the position. And let's be real, a McLaurin and DK Metcalf duo would be a nightmare for opposing defenses. They both came from the same draft and have complementary styles. Metcalf is all about that insane physicality and contested catches, while McLaurin is precise routes and sure hands. For Rodgers, it would be a field day this season, as he needs to prove he's still elite at 41 years old. The current situation is Calvin Austin as WR2, with Roman Wilson and Robert Woods behind him. It's solid, but it's not the kind of group that strikes fear in opponents. That's why the interest in McLaurin makes perfect sense, especially with Pickens' departure for Dallas. Fans in the group chats are already campaigning, "Get Terry and we'll figure out the rest." But then, there's the reality. To convince the Commanders, it would have to be a very heavy offer, maybe even more than for Tyreek. And that gets us back to the question of draft picks and the plan for the future. The difference is that McLaurin is still 29 in his prime and has more years left in the tank. So, in this case, it would be less of a desperation move and more of a medium-term bet. For now, it seems like it will stay in the speculation phase, but if the atmosphere in Washington gets worse, the door could open. And if it does, the Steelers have the ammo to get into the conversation. This is on everyone's mind in the black and gold nation, and for good reason. The possibility of an offense with Metcalf and McLaurin is the kind of thing that makes the terrible towel spin non-stop. And get ready, because the next piece of news completely changes focus. There's a depth chart alteration that nobody understood at first, but which could say a lot about how the team is moving for the rest of the season. And now let's talk about something that caught everyone off guard. The new Steelers depth chart update. On paper, it seemed like one of those normal preseason changes, but when you look closer, whoa, something's weird here. The rookie Troy Fautanu is still starting at right tackle, as expected, but who shows up right behind him as the second stringer? The veteran Andres Pete. And you might be thinking, wait, isn't Pete a guard? Exactly. In his entire career, the guy has only played 78 snaps at right tackle, and that was back in 2015, in his rookie year with the Saints. The rest was almost all at left guard, where he was a 3-time Pro Bowler and played over 4,400 snaps. He even played left tackle on almost 2,000 plays, but switching sides on the line isn't just about flipping your body, it's a different game. The official justification? The Steelers want to test his versatility and have an experienced option in case something happens to Fautanu. And look, considering the rookie had a serious knee problem in college, it makes sense to have some insurance. Pete arrived last week on a 1-year deal and already saw the field against the Jaguars, playing 21 snaps at left tackle and giving up 1 pressure. Nothing alarming, but also nothing that justifies putting him as the primary backup on a side where he has practically no NFL experience. The black and gold nation is divided. Some see this as a sign that the team wants to use his experience to keep the line stable, and others think it's a makeshift solution that could be costly in the middle of the season. In the forums, some people are even saying this could indicate some internal concern with Broderick Jones, who is still the starter on the left side but hasn't convinced everyone yet. The reality is that this change could also be pure preseason strategy, to give Pete more reps and see if he adapts quickly. If it works, we get a valuable utility player. If it goes wrong, we'll probably see another move on the market before the start of the season. And remember that the offensive line was one of the most criticized points last year? Yeah, any change there becomes a hot topic, and I'm telling you, this is one of those changes that seems small now, but could be decisive when the big games arrive. And speaking of decisions, it's time to tie all this together and understand what these 4 news stories together say about the state of our team. My friend, look at everything that happened today. An unexpected cut, heavy trade rumors, a call for a star-wide receiver, and even a weird shakeup on the offensive line. This isn't a normal preseason. This is a preseason for a team that is moving pieces for something big. It could be the beginning of a title run or just smoke to throw off rivals, but one thing is certain, Steel City is on fire. So, what do you think? Will Khan take a risk now, or wait? Drop a comment, because this is the home of the real Black and Gold Nation, and the next video might have the bombshell that shakes everything up.